Thank you to our technology helpers today, Carolyn Nixon, Amy Stubbs, and Spencer Maxwell. And of course, thank you to Dr. Yuki Kumamoto, our wonderful pianist and the originator of all of the artwork that we saw. If you would like to show your gratitude as well, you can click on the clapping icon out inside Zoom. Westside is a community of many beliefs, genders, and sexualities, a community of diverse cultural, racial, class backgrounds, a community of varied abilities and gifts. Some here find inspiration in the great books, others in the great outdoors, and still others in great conversations. Whoever you may be, we welcome you to bring your whole self into this community. If you are so moved, you can try out the chat feature on Zoom by typing in some words of welcome to both members and visitors who are joining us this morning. On behalf of this church community, I also say to all, welcome. Today's order of service is a PDF. A link was provided via email and will also be posted in the chat for you to download. Most important is simply the opportunity to be present and connect together as the Westside community. So don't worry if you don't have the order of service. We won't leave you behind. As always, please continue to watch your email inbox, the church website, and our Facebook page for updates on church programs and opportunities. You can also stick around after our service ends today if you'd like to join us for virtual coffee hour. I invite you to take a deep breath and from wherever you are, settle into this sacred space that we create together each week. Now let us worship together as we listen to this morning's prelude. Our opening words are by Lisa Friedman. We touch the floor to remember wherever we bring our best self is holy ground. We reach for the sky to remember that we are part of a mystery much bigger than ourselves. We hold hands to remember that we need one another and are part of one human family. We join voices to remember that we each have a gift to offer the world and to use in making the world a better place.
Feel free to join in lighting your own chalice as I share these words by Wendy Bartell and Lynn Gardner. From our separate joys and struggles, we come here to find the peace of balance and to find the blessing of restlessness. All are welcome to follow, to lead, to teach, to learn. All are welcome to join the dance, to catch our breath. All are welcome to give generously, to receive gratefully. All are welcome. If we are steady and composed, if we feel completely lost, if we don't know what we are feeling, this community has a place for us. Here we matter and we are loved. If you are steady and poised, if you feel completely lost, if you don't know what you feel, this community has a place for us. We matter. We are loved. Our chalice lighting song this morning is number 362, Rise Up, O Flame.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, rise our light flame, show thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Very nice. I invite you to join me in reciting the affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. And our opening hymn today is number 67, We Sing Now Together.
We sing now together our song of thanksgiving, rejoicing in the ages have wrought. For thy God calls us and tells us and leads beyond the goals which are for where once sought. We sing of freedoms which martyrs and heroes have won by their endless sorrow laid. Lord, bless us dearly, our utmost defending. Their death becomes a triumph, they die not in vain. We sing of the prophets, the teachers, the dreamers, designers, creators, and workers and seers. Our own lives expanding, our gratitude commanding. Their deeds have made immortal, their days and their years. We sing of community now in the making, in every Lord and region of the land. We rose of all races, all times and days and places. We pledge ourselves in covenant, firmly to stand.
Our time for all ages today will be presented by our special guest, Maria von Klopp.
Hi kids, my name is Maria Von Clapp, and I'm really excited to hang out with you today. Thanks for having me. I'm going to read you a story, and I hope you like it. It's one of my favorites. If you're anything like me, you've probably been missing hanging out with friends and family who you don't live with and can't see very often these days. I know it's been a pretty rough year. I miss hanging out with my friends and family who live all over the place. I'm down here in Texas, but my family lives all the way up in Akron, Ohio. And I have a niece who lives there. She likes to be called Rocky, so that's what I'll call her. And I miss seeing Rocky. She's 4 years old. And since I can't see her and be with her all the time, I like to spend time calling her, telling stories with her, reading stories to her, playing hide and seek, which if you didn't know how to play hide and seek on Zoom, I could give you some pointers. It's not as hard as it sounds. Sometimes we paint nails, sometimes we paint pictures, and we always have a really good time. And so one story that I really love to read Rocky is this one called The Boy Who Cried Fabulous. It's a story that I really like because I think it's about all the ways that people try and tell us how we're supposed to be in the world, how we're supposed to behave, what kind of person we're supposed to be. And sometimes when people do that, it almost makes us feel like we can't be ourselves, makes us feel like we can't do the things that we really love to do. A lot of times that's because people make assumptions about how boys and girls are supposed to be and what kinds of things they're supposed to like or do. And so I like this story because it reminds me that as long as you find things to do in this world and people to be with in this world that you really love and enjoy being around, that's all that really matters. So here we are, The Boy Who Cried Fabulous by Leslie Newman, illustrations by Peter Ferguson. When Roger started out for school, his mother set a simple rule. She said, "Now Roger, you go straight to class and don't be late." Roger tried hard to obey. He knew that he should not delay. He shouldn't wander or explore, but then he came upon a store, its windows full of lovely clothes, so colorful that Roger froze, then clapped his hands in fits of glee and shouted out in ecstasy, "What a fabulous coat! Is it silk or wool? What a fabulous bell! Can I give it a pull? What a fabulous door! Does it open wide? What a fabulous store! Can I come inside? What a fabulous man in a fabulous hat! What a fabulous tie, or perhaps a cravat! What a fabulous boot! What a fabulous shoe! What a fabulous suit made of fabulous blue! What a fabulous dog! What a fabulous cat! What a fabulous this! What a fabulous that! What a fabulous boy! What a fabulous girl! What a fabulous day! What a fabulous world! Roger got to school so late, his teacher was in quite a state. He said to Roger, "This is bad, and I am very, very mad. Now go sit down, and when school's out, you go right home. Don't gad about." Roger tried hard to roam. He knew that he should go right home, but then he saw a little street where everything looked like a treat. So many colors, such a sight, it made him shriek with pure delight. What a fabulous pie! Can I have a slice? What a fabulous game! Can I roll the dice? What a fabulous book! Can I read a line? What a fabulous purse! It's simply divine. What a fabulous statue! Just look at that pose! What a fabulous horse with a star on its nose! What a fabulous carriage! Can I have a ride? What a fabulous swing! What a fabulous slide! What a fabulous ball! What a fabulous bike! What a fabulous day for a fabulous hike! What a fabulous lake! What a fabulous park! What a fabulous sky! It's so fabulously dark. Uh-oh, I think that means he's late. Roger's mom was very sad. Behind her stood his angry dad. "Roger, you are very late." "But Mom, but Dad," said Roger, "wait. I know that I am not on time, but what I did was not a crime. With so many fabulous things to see, the time just got away from me." Roger's mother shook her head. Roger's dad sent him to bed. They talked about what could be done to help their sweet but tardy son. If he kept his eyes upon the ground and did not stop to look around, surely he'd pick up the pace and swiftly move from place to place. The next day Mom said, "Roger, dear, there's one word we don't want to hear." "Now, son," said Dad, "listen to us. We're talking about fabulous. Now come along, we're off to town, and please remove that silly frown." Roger tried hard to be good. He wanted to, he knew he should. He also knew one thing for sure: the world's too wondrous to ignore. And so he found another way to shout out what he had to say. What do you think it's going to be? What a marvelous watch. Can I see the time? What a marvelous drink. Does it need a lime? What a marvelous dish. What a marvelous brunch. What a marvelous place for a marvelous lunch. What a wonderful bridge. What a beautiful boat. What an elegant queen on a dazzling float. What a glorious band. What a magical song. What a splendid march. May we come along? What a luscious smell in that scrumptious air. What a stunning day for a charming fair. What a thrilling show. What a brilliant clown. What a magnificent street. What a fabulous town. Roger felt his spirits dim as both his parents looked on him. But then they smiled with such delight. He knew that it would be all right. We've never ever had such fun, and you are the world's most fabulous son. So I really like that book because I feel like, I don't know, the thing that everyone keeps telling Roger is a problem is actually the thing that makes him special, because he sees the world in this way that no one else sees it. And if they paid attention to what he paid attention to, they'd all be having a really good time. So I hope you enjoyed that story. And hey, Rocky, if you're watching, and I hope you all have a really wonderful day and the rest of your week, and maybe spend some time thinking about this story together with whoever you live with, and think about what's fabulous in your life.
And thank you, Maria von Klopp. And today's joys and concerns will be shared by a representative of the pastoral care team, Christina Sellers.
We seem to not be able to hear you, Christina. So let's see. As we share our joys with others, those joys are multiplied. As we share our concerns, our community can offer its care. Please post in the chat if you have a joy or concern that you would like to share with everyone today. And those who will watch the recording later, or those who are watching live on Facebook as well. Joys and concerns can be submitted at any time via email to pastoralcare@westsideuu.org, or through the web form located on the Care and Support page of the church's website. This week's joys and concerns, we're going to try to get some in the chat from Christina. One joy is we had a special guest share our story for all ages, Maria von Klopp. I want to thank our TCU Connections for having that special guest this morning. Also have a joy. We are trying out for the first time broadcasting this service. Not only is it live on Zoom, but live on Facebook as well. So thanks to Nikki Kennedy for testing that out and making it happen. We're very excited. And so I see from Charlie Ford that Tal is listed in the chat as maybe having a joy or concern. Let me scroll up just a little bit here so I can get the whole joy here. Okay, so if you attended General Assembly this year virtually back in June, you may remember Elandria Williams. On behalf of the Unitarian Universalist Association, we are sharing our heartbreak for the profound loss of the UUA's recent past co-moderator, Elandria Williams, a dear friend and incomparable leader of our faith. She died unexpectedly on September the 23rd. We especially lift up in our prayers and in deep care Alondria's parents, Elnora and Irvin Williams, and Alondria's twin brother, Frederick. We know that innumerable people, communities, and organizations across the world are grieving and honoring Alondria's life, leadership, activism, and Alondria's love that knew no bounds. We'll include some links so that you can help in sharing your tribute to her. A memorial service was held yesterday, and you can find more information on the UUA website. So Dwight Robart says, my wife and I returned home from DeRidder, Louisiana yesterday. This week we worked with a team to help clean up debris from Hurricane Laura. We worked 3 summers in New Orleans after Katrina, and while the devastation was worse then, the DeRidder area is still severely impacted. Trees are down everywhere, huge trees. Damage to some houses is clearly evident. Many people went without water and electricity for most of all of September. We had to leave a day earlier than planned because the same area is in the crosshairs of another major storm this weekend. Let's keep our Louisiana neighbors in our thoughts this weekend. This is definitely Dwight's concern and our concern as well. On the other hand, over so many weeks, so many people have showed up volunteering their time and spending their money to help. Strangers working together to help other strangers is definitely a joy. So the efforts of these volunteers are acts of peace and us. This is his joy. It's definitely our joy too. Sharon shares that Gary Randall is alive and well, feeling very much better. Thanks for all of the good wishes. A concern from Jonathan that a staff member tested positive for COVID-19 at the elementary school, so the whole family is waiting for test results. Leela's joy is that she really enjoyed the story, and Maria von Klapp. And Charlie's joy about Tao is that he is here with Charlie and Diane today. So it's good to have Tao in our community. And Pam Humphrey has a joy, so thankful for the church friends who reached out to her during a very difficult time, offering help and support. She loves you all. And then a concern for Christina. My dear friend and co-worker had a close contact with someone who later tested positive for COVID the first week that students were back in the building. She's home quarantining and could benefit from your uplifting thoughts and prayers that the masks worked. I also have a concerning joy. I resigned my position with Fort Worth ISD on Thursday, which is sad because I loved my job and I will miss my coworkers who are like family and my students I have watched grow since they were small. The joyful part is that I have accepted a position as a full-time teletherapist with a contract company and will be providing services remotely for Killeen ISD. That is really exciting, Christina. Thank you for sharing that with us. So thanks to everybody for sharing this morning. Sharing draws our community closer together. Please know that our pastoral care associates are available to support you with deep listening when needed and through our InReach Fund or short-term financial support of members who are in need. We are here for you. This morning's centering song is number 352, Find a Stillness. Sing along, but if you prefer to simply listen, that's okay too.
Find a stillness.
wings of this music, I invite you to join me in a time of centering. Each week here at Westside, we open our hearts to those in our community who know both joys and challenges, and to all suffering beings. I will begin with a brief pastoral introduction before we move into a time for silent reflection. At that point, I will ring the bell to signal the start of the time for your own meditation, prayer, or reflection. And I will ring the bell again at the end. I invite you to close your eyes and check the alignment of your spine as I begin with a pastoral prayer. Spirit of life and love and hope, let our hearts be full of love as we share in the joys among this community. Let our hearts reach out in compassion to all who know sorrow as well, offering a loving presence to those in pain.
On October 25th, we'll have a guest speaker from one of our very own, Julie Cecil. And she has asked that our membership and friends send photos of those that you have lost during this last year. And we plan to put together a montage of those photos to be shown when Julie is presenting her reflection. Westside has a long tradition of reaching out to the wider community in generosity. You'll find guidance in the order of service, the chat, and in the afterward mail about different causes to support and how you can give. In addition to giving online through our donation webpage or mailing a check to the church, you can now use the Give Plus app available through the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Westside has a Samaritan House Dinner Fund, which when we were in-person volunteering, provided funds for the meat and volunteers providing the sides and dessert. But during the pandemic, this fund has also been helpful. And the dinner fund was a monthly plate offering during our services as needed. That need is upon us now, and it gives all Westsiders and visitors to our services the opportunity to help this worthy cause. Thank you to all who are continuing to pay towards your pledge for the church, which is keeping our mission going in this time when spiritual community and support is so needed. We will hear a gift of piano music now from Dr. Yuki Kumamoto while members make an offering. Enjoy.
This morning's reading is a selection from a book called Straight, The Surprisingly Short History of Heterosexuality. Seems like a very strange title, I know. But the thesis of the book is a very academic book, I guess I want to say. So I'm not going to read very much of it. But I want to read her story, which is very interesting. It's written, the author is Hannah Blank. Every time I go to the doctor, I end up questioning my sexual orientation. On some of its forms, the clinic I visit includes 5 little boxes. A small matter of demographic bookkeeping. Next to the boxes are options: gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, or heterosexual, and you're supposed to check one. You might not think this would pose a difficulty. I'm a fairly garden variety female human being after all, and I'm in a long-term monogamous relationship well into our 2nd decade together with someone who has male genitalia. But does this make us or our relationship straight? This turns out to be a good question, because there is more to my relationship and much, much more to heterosexuality than meets the eye. There's biology, for one thing. My partner was diagnosed male at birth because he was born and indeed still has a fully functioning penis. But as the ancient Romans used to say, a beard does not make one a philosopher. Neither does having a genital outie necessarily make one male. Indeed, of the 2 sex chromosomes, X and Y, which would be found in the genes of a typical male, and XX, which is the hallmark of the genetically typical female, my partner's DNA has all 3. XXY, a pattern that is simultaneously male, female, and neither. This particular genetic pattern is the signature of Klinefelter syndrome, one of the most common sex chromosome anomalies. XXY often goes undiagnosed because people who have it often look perfectly normal from the outside. In many cases, XXY individuals do not find out about their chromosomal anomaly unless they try to have children and end up seeing a fertility doctor who ultimately orders an image called a karyotype, essentially a photo of the person's chromosomes made with a very powerful microscope. In a karyotype, the trisomy or 3 chromosome grouping is instantly revealed. As genetic anomalies go, this particular trisomy is not a cause for major alarm. Aside from infertility, it causes few significant problems, which is a good thing because it's fairly common. The estimates vary in part because diagnosis is so haphazard, but it's believed that as many as 1 in every 2,000 people who are declared male at birth may in fact be XXY. At minimum, there are about 500,000 Americans whose genetics are this way, most of whom will never know it. So a big part of this book about heterosexuality is just sort of debunking that whole concept that there is such a thing as normal, sexual normal. There are so many variations, and it's a fascinating thing. She said that scientists now identify 5 biological sexes. So in addition to male and female, there are 3 others that they recognize. So that's what I wanted to share with you from her book, and I highly recommend it. It is a little tough going at times, but mostly it's pretty readable. So I had technical difficulties here today at my house. I have no printer, so I have to read off of the screen, which I find a little difficult. It's not as easy as having a piece of paper in front of me. So, but I'm going to start. This reflection is called, When Did You Know? Sometime in the early 2000s, I met a gay couple who did a lot of public speaking, particularly at UU churches. But I think their interests were about reaching as many people as they could. Their mission was to be ambassadors to the straight community, to help straight people get past their fear of gay people. They specifically focused on fears of gay men because they believed, and I think rightly so, that people are only afraid of what they don't know. The key to overcoming this is to make oneself known. This couple lived in a middle-class neighborhood in North Carolina. The neighborhood has held a block party once a year, and various households volunteered to host it at their home. After a few years, this couple offered to host the next one. The gay couple offered. I don't remember their names, unfortunately. Their neighbors readily agreed, and when the day came for the block party, there was a bigger than normal turnout. The guys are kind of nonplussed. There was a lot of excitement to see how gay men lived. People were invited to the house and they came in and looked everywhere, including the kitchen cupboards. Look, they have matching dishes, they exclaimed. But they looked everywhere, and it was shocking to them that there was so much normality in this house. Well, they certainly got what they came for, and seeing how a gay couple lived. And it's hard to know if they felt more like neighbors, but over time they would. There are a few members of my family that hate the idea of my being married to a woman. Okay, maybe just one that I know about. My oldest brother refused to come to our wedding. I anticipated their reaction, and when it came down to coming out to the family, I found I was actually scared. Jennifer didn't have to go through that because she trusted that her family would love her no matter what. In examining why I felt so afraid, I really thought my family would, well, maybe not disown me, but change in their feelings towards me. It was a question of losing a big part of my identity. I was Stan and Louise's daughter. Would they still claim me if I was Jennifer's wife? Was I really that dependent on their approval? It went further than that. We both had difficulty telling strangers. I hesitated to identify Jennifer as my wife to people I didn't know. I didn't know how I would be treated. Surprisingly, there was not one person who lifted an eyebrow, much less said anything negative to me about being married to a woman. And I've had to repeat myself a few times here in Texas and in Nebraska, where I worked before, but never any open judgment. I love the story of how Jennifer shared about our relationship with her 3 kids. So I'll share that with you. She probably has shared that to some of you already. Julia, the youngest, who was 6 at the time, but is now 21, was hoping that we'd get married so she could be a flower girl. Jennifer sat down with each of them individually so they could share what their feelings were about my living with their mother and being her partner. So that was Julia's response. I want to know if you're getting married because I want to be a flower girl. And in fact, Julia tried to apply pressure for this by telling all of her classmates that we were going to get married. This triggered a social worker visit to the classroom at the school where she was attending. And they had to talk about what this meant, that 2 women were getting married. And but someone had to tell them that we really aren't getting married right now. So it was disappointing to Julia. But it was kind of interesting. She really acted as an education to her classmates. Tim was the most involved to tell. He was 11 which meant he was in middle school. And he was used to his friends all using gay as a pejorative word. So if they did something that they thought was stupid or uncool, they'd say, "That's so gay." So he was on guard already about this whole thing. So Jennifer told him that we were going to be living together and that I was going to be her partner. And Tim was silent for a moment, and then he said, "Mom, does that mean you're gay?" And she said, "Well, there's a lot more than gay. If we look at the Kinsey scale," and she got out a bell curve, she drew a bell curve, and she said, "On one end of this spectrum, there are people who are strictly interested in the opposite sex. And on the other end of this spectrum, there are people who are only interested in the same sex. And then in the middle are people who can go either way, like can love both men and women." And that, she said, "That's really where I fall. I was married to your father for 16 years and very happily so. So now this is a different phase of my life, but I'm not a different person. I have just a different relationship now." So Tim thought about that for a minute, and then he said, "That is so cool. That means there are twice as many people that you can fall in love with." So she was really relieved that he thought that way. Then we have Ben, who's the oldest. He was 13 at the time, and I think he might have gone through the OWL classes, maybe not yet, maybe not at that point in time, but he has autism and was very concrete in his thinking, is very concrete in his thinking. And what he wanted to know was, where am I going to sleep? Am I going to have to move my bedroom somewhere else? I mean, he was counting up rooms and beds and thinking I was going to have my own room and my own bed. So Jennifer said, "You're going to be in the same bed you always have been. You're going to stay where you are." And that was a big relief to him. That's all he wanted to know. That was it. So that was her coming out to the children. One thing I realized in doing this reflection, because I found it very, very hard, and you'll see that it's a very short reflection, because it was just really difficult for me to wrap my mind around a coming out story for myself. And I realized that my parents are very private people. Talking about sexuality, preferences, or gender are just embarrassing to them. So when I did tell them about the fact that Jennifer and I were more than friends and would eventually get married, they were embarrassed. They were not angry or judgmental, but they just felt, "Oh, you shouldn't be saying those things." But they didn't say that. They just sort of sat silently. And it was very, very hard to figure out what they were thinking. One reason they were embarrassed is that they had a secret which they would never discuss. Ironically, out of fear of being judged. My parents have both been dead for a number of years now, and they never shared with my brother and I about how they met and married, which always seems so strange. Usually parents want to tell their children how they met their mother or father and you know, whatever funny stories or kind stories they wanted to tell about it. So it turns out, here's the things that they were hiding that they did not want to talk about. My mother was 16 years older than my father. That's unusual, but not terrible. I never thought it was anything bad at all. I loved my father and he was a great father. So to me, that was quite normal. And also my mother was pregnant when they got married. I didn't know that till very recently, but that's not unusual and it's not terrible. But for them, both were badges of shame. And so they kept secret their relationship, at least the details of it. They didn't hide out. They were part of the family. They acknowledged their marriage and all that sort of thing. So people have grown up in the last 20 years. They are not surprised or shocked by same-sex couples, whether or not they approve. Not too long ago, a comedian decided to do a man on the street interview sketch. He asked people first if they thought people decided to become gay or whether they were born that way. Some people answered that they were born that way, and many others thought they had made a decision to become gay, that was a lifestyle choice. It was not something innate in them or something that came from them. So if they said that gay and lesbians have a choice and they chose to be gay, he would ask a second question. When did you decide to be straight? That question totally flummoxed people. There were pauses and ums, and finally they admitted that they just always were that way. It was never a conscious choice. That led the interviewer to ask the final question. Do you think that might be the way it is for gay and lesbian people? Just always were that way? Not exactly grudgingly, but more like having a light go on. They said, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. If you want to explore this issue of gender and sexual orientation further, I recommend Hannah Blank's book, Straight. I read some of what she wrote, and I told you about the 5 types of biological sex, not 2, as we commonly think. And maybe there are others that they haven't really identified yet. We have been pigeonholed, defined, and confined by scientists and by orthodoxy. If we want to know ourselves truly, we have to break away from definitions and the expectations of others. To have the courage of our experience without apology or worry about whether others feel the same way or are going to judge us or leave us, we must stay with the truth about ourselves, even if we're afraid, because the alternative is to lose who you are entirely. I would love to hear your stories about yourselves or your children coming out, and I hope you will share them with me on email or Zoom, however you want to do it over the coming weeks. I think it's such an important aspect of our lives. So that's the end of my reflection. As I said, it was short, sweet. I was able to share just those things with you. And now we have the closing hymn, number 354. We laugh, we cry.
And we believe that of answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found our joy being together. And in a search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
Closing words, Reverend Frieda.
All right. Our closing words today. Get back to that screen. This is by Bernadette Burns. For the joyful, may jubilant songs echo in our hearts, well beyond the fading memories. For the sorrowful, may gentle songs of solace bring lasting healing to our hearts and minds. For the angry, may we join our voices together in songs of protest and hope. For the mindful, may we sing the praises of Earth's beauty and honor the unique songs of all beings. For all of us here in our community and in our world, may we sing to the morning and evening stars as they guide our journeys. Amen.
As we extinguish our chalices across the country this morning, please join me in the congregational closing. Let us go in peace, believe in peace, and create peace in our lives and in the world. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Thank you for being with us today for National Coming Out Day. And if you'd like to participate in our virtual coffee hour, please stay on the Zoom meeting and accept the message to place you in a breakout room with a random selection of others who joined the service today.